5th and 6th graders, I cannot wait to see you guys again. Today we have a special thing. Happy Easter, right? I am inviting you to join our graded in a really cool day. We have changed over everybody to Legos. I know, crazy. Mr. Ricky and Mr. John, if you've ever been downstairs, they're some of our teachers. They're gonna walk through the lesson here today. Plus, even an experiment with an egg. It's gonna get a little crazy. Kyle and Crystal will be back very soon. So please enjoy this video. Hey Ricky, John?
Hey Nate.
Hey.
I kind of feel different about today. Have you guys noticed anything?
Yeah, I feel kind of, something feels kind of weird.
Where are my fingers?
You guys, you do look a little yellow this morning.
Yeah, and I feel kind of, hey, wait a second. Where are my Jesus sandals? Where did they go?
We got to get started. Hey everybody, welcome to Journey Kids Online. I am so excited you're here.
While we try to figure this out, will you guys stand to your feet and join in worship from wherever you are at?
'Cause he's not done. The best is yet to come. I've got this hope in my soul. I know you won't let me go.
Guys, I figured it out. We are Lego. I figured it out. We're Lego.
Don't you mean that we are Legos, like more than one Lego?
No, guys, the plural of Lego is Lego.
All right, I guess I'll have to trust you on this one.
Wait. Guys, if we're Lego, that means I can do this. Oh, and this. And
Wait,
in this.
if you can do that, then that means that I can do this, and I can do this.
I am Batman.
Guys, do you know what hasn't changed? We get to do Journey Kids, and this week is Easter.
We gotta tell these kiddos what's going on today.
Wait, that's this week?
John, what is going on today?
Well, let me show you something. Nate, do you mind if we go to the theater?
Yeah, let's do it, man. Let's go.
Let me show you a little something. This egg, if I was to tell you I was going to smash this on Mr. Nate's head, some of you may think,
Smash it, smash
some may
it.
think egg's going to come out.
No, thank you.
Some would probably say, well, no. Here we go. 1, 2, 3.
Woohoo! Wait, there's nothing inside. Where'd all the stuff go?
What? That's no fun.
There is absolutely nothing inside this egg. But as with all experiments, there's actually a purpose behind it. And today's purpose is Easter, right? And, you know, on Friday, they placed Jesus in a tomb. And we'll call this egg a tomb. But do you believe that he stayed in the tomb? Just like on Easter morning, when everyone came to the grave, Jesus was not there. The grave was empty. So why did Jesus become human? It was not to die in the grave. It was to pay for our sins, your and my sins. And then it's to change the world. He wants to use you, Mr. Ricky, and you, Mr. Nate, and you, student, to affect change to the entire world. But he wants to start with you in your own backyard. So how can we affect change? By implementing and living the way Jesus told us to.
All this change reminds me of our big picture question. Why did Jesus become human? Just like we're experiencing in our lives right now, change is really, really, really big sometimes. But I bet that becoming a human was probably a pretty big change for Jesus as well. And you know what? That story that we're about to see is going to talk about the fact of how big a change that was.
After Jesus was arrested, he was led to the high priest. The religious leaders were trying to find a reason to kill Jesus, but they could not. The high priest asked, "Are you the Messiah, the Son of God?" Jesus replied, "Yes, that's right." The high priest said, "He has spoken against God. He deserves to die." The religious leaders refused to believe that Jesus was God's son. In the morning, the religious leaders led Jesus to Pilate, the governor. "Are you the king of the Jews?" Pilate asked. "Yes, that's right," Jesus replied. "What should I do with Jesus?" Pilate asked the crowd. "Crucify him," they answered. Pilate did not think Jesus had done anything wrong, but he handed Jesus over and said, "Do whatever you want." The governor's soldiers put a scarlet robe on Jesus. They made a crown of thorns and put it on his head. Then they mocked him. "Here is the King of the Jews." They beat Jesus and led him away to be killed. The soldiers nailed Jesus to a cross. They put a sign above his head that said, "This is Jesus, the King of the Jews." 2 criminals were crucified next to him. Darkness covered the land. Jesus cried out, my God, why have you forsaken me?" Jesus shouted again, and then he died. Suddenly, the curtain in the temple sanctuary split in two from top to bottom, and there was an earthquake. One of the men guarding Jesus' body said, "This man really was God's son." Jesus was buried in a tomb. A stone was sealed in front of the tomb so that no one could steal Jesus' body. On the 3rd day, Mary Magdalene and the other Mary went to the tomb. Suddenly, there was an earthquake. An angel of the Lord rolled back the stone and sat on it. The guards were so afraid that they fainted. The angel spoke to the woman, "Don't be afraid. I know you are looking for Jesus. He is not here. He has risen, just like he said he would." The women left the tomb quickly. They ran to tell the disciples the good news. Just then, Jesus greeted them. The women worshiped him. "Don't be afraid," Jesus told them. "Tell my followers to go to Galilee. They will see me there." Jesus appeared to Peter and then to the other disciples. Jesus also appeared to more than 500 people who followed him. Many people witnessed that Jesus is alive. Jesus' death and resurrection is the center of the gospel. In Adam, we were spiritually dead in sin, but Jesus died to pay for our sins. Jesus is alive. God gives new life to everyone who trusts in Jesus.
Man, that question was perfectly answered. I hope that you saw it in there. That story sometimes actually had some really sad parts to it, but I don't think Jesus came for sadness. I think actually Jesus came for victory that we get to experience. Why did Jesus become a human? And it wasn't so that he could rock out like we get to all the time or even get to play with Lego, but it was because he loved us so much that he considered it complete joy to serve us, to save us so that we could one day have the opportunity to be in heaven with him. So why did Jesus become a human? So that he could rescue us from our sins.
You know, that Friday he went in the grave, but Sunday when they went back to it, it was empty. The exact same way when we cracked the egg open earlier, it was empty. You know, Jesus won and was not there. The grave could not hold him. Death could not defeat him. He defeated what we couldn't do, and that was he defeated death. He died for us. And that's why the grave was empty, that just like the egg earlier.
The grave was empty. It was changed forever. And because of what Jesus did for us, when we trust him, we are changed forever too. Yes, forever and ever and ever we are changed because of what Christ did for us. He forgave us, and you know what we should do when we go and meet with our friends and talk with our parents? We should forgive others too. Jesus forgave us, and we should forgive others. And you know what? That's a whole lot better than a basket full of Cadbury eggs or yellow Peeps. We should forgive others.
That's right. Hey, you know what? Our friend Pastor Brian has a really good question from a kid about that. Let's check out this video.
Hey there, I'm Pastor Brian, and it's time for Questions from Kids. Mateo from Mola, South Carolina asks,
A kid at school said something mean to me. Do I have to forgive him?
Mateo, let me just say this first of all. I'm sorry that somebody was mean to you. I know that's hard. We've all been there. The world is just a sinful place. People are mean, they say mean things, and it hurts. And so again, I'm just sorry this happened to you. Forgiving somebody is hard. Wanting to forgive somebody is hard as well. And so your question is really significant to me and many others who are with you. So let me just kind of speak to this for a minute. Now, the big idea here is, do I need to forgive somebody else? And the answer is yes, we do. That's what we have to do. God has called us to forgive all others. And let me give you the reason behind this, hopefully it makes it a little bit easier to understand, get your arms around, and actually do. You see, when we think about forgiving others, we have to think about how God has forgiven us. That God sent Jesus so that he would die for us to provide forgiveness. And you know what? We were mean to God. We did nothing to deserve God's forgiveness. It's an act of grace alone. And so because of God doing that for us, when we really understand that, when we really start to understand that, man, I don't deserve God's forgiveness, but he gave it to me so freely and abundantly, without hesitation. And when I think about how God did that for me, then I should want to forgive others, right? We should want to demonstrate to others what's been given to us. So when you think about this person who said something mean to you and understand they don't deserve your forgiveness, but neither do you deserve God's forgiveness. But God gave you his forgiveness, so we should give that other person your forgiveness. That's the way it's designed to work. And so operate from that heart position, that heart posture of saying, you know what? I know this person did something mean. They haven't even asked for forgiveness, but I'm gonna strive to forgive them because God forgave me. And you know what could happen? When your friend sees you forgiving him for being mean, they may see a picture of the gospel. They may see that God is the great forgiver, and they may be drawn to him because of your act of forgiveness. So there's something bigger at stake here, isn't that? That's pretty exciting to think about. So I got a question for you. Do you think it's ever okay not to forgive someone? Why or why not?
What a great question. Do you think it's ever okay not to forgive someone?
Man, parents, this is a fantastic time, especially also for kids. This is a really good discussion to have around your table. Remember that no matter what we have done, Jesus has forgiven us. So what should that cause us to do to others around us?
Oftentimes, forgiveness frees us from anger or hurt. Then more than it's just an expression of really being sorry. Forgiveness is often more about the person forgiving being like Jesus and less about what was done to us. So we always want to try to be like Jesus. And you know what Jesus did? He forgave. But you know what? Sometimes forgiveness takes time.
So who could you show love like Christ showed us today? Well, guys, that's all we have today. Now, can I try to do some of those things you guys were doing earlier?
Hey guys,
yeah.
hey,
So
wait up for
you
me.
wanna do the rocket
Hey guys, we'll see you next week. Have a great Easter Sunday.